Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. How are you doing? This is Amanda Ellis, and a very warm welcome to my channel if you've never seen me before, and a warm welcome to returning followers and subscribers. Got an interesting video for you today, and we're going to go very, very deep in this one. Much deeper than surface level. Was it aliens or was it not aliens? I'm being given a wealth of information that has been triggered by something that happened in Miami on the 1st of January 2024, whether it was aliens walking amongst us, whether it was smoke and mirrors illusion, whether it was something else entirely. There is still a lot that I want to say about it. Whatever your view is in terms of what happened, there is something to glean from this, which is really, really interesting. So I encourage you to grab a cuppa, settle down, and I'm going to take you through the downloads that I have been receiving since this piece of news entered my consciousness less than 24 hours ago. It's one of those videos where I thought, that's interesting. I wonder, shall I pull a few cards on it? And then it's developed into something else with just information streaming in. It's also a delicate subject because it's definitely one of those videos and one of those subjects, especially for people that aren't going to bother to actually watch this video. They'll just look at the title, where I can easily be attacked for, don't be so stupid, don't be so ridiculous, you don't know what you're talking about. Of course it's not that. And in addition to that, I'm being led to believe that it actually could be a slightly dodgy subject to be talking about, certainly here on this platform, because it appears that some of the people that first came out in terms of first-hand witness accounts on social media are retracting what they have said. The question then is asked, why are they retracting what they originally said? Have they had a knock on the door from the men in black to basically say, we are going to shut down this discussion? It is going to just be what mainstream media are saying it was, which was, and I will get to the whole story, what mainstream media is saying happened on the 1st of January at Bayside Miami Mall is that groups of teenagers started to fight with sticks. Some had fireworks, and a huge police presence had to arrive to maintain control and law and order. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? But there are other accounts coming out saying that it was not that, and that actually there were beings that were seen around the mall that were not human in nature. Bear with me, it's really interesting this. And a lot of people were fleeing from that. There is film, I will link some of it below, particularly from a TikToker. I'm not on TikTok yet, although I might be soon, but she's called Auntie_Coolette. I just came across her video where she breaks down exactly what happened. I've got some of my information from her, so I will credit that. But as an example, somebody like her, this is what she is saying. But she's just one of many. She's basically broken down the information. So, 1st of January 2024, there is film, and I'll show you a photograph of it, of a huge police presence that arrived at the mall. And it's said to be, how many cars? About 75 police cars. Can you see that? That arrived, just lining up down there. A huge police response that came quickly to the mall because something was happening. In addition to this, there are reports, again, this is all unverified, I'm just going on what I'm hearing, but I'm still going to read on it, that they closed down the airspace in Miami for a certain period of time. I've also read reports of people that did then eventually make it in on planes, either before or afterwards, who were complaining of terrible earache or ringing in the ears. Seemed to be affecting the ears, which is interesting. There were also power cuts. A figure, I don't know whether it's Colette mentions it or somebody else, of 61,000 homes being without power all around the time that this event was happening. I've also heard that the mall itself had a power cut. Telecommunications were cut because lots of people are saying, well, where is the footage? There is a little bit of footage, but not much. I have heard, and it sort of makes sense, that even if this is a fake thing, that if aliens were to walk amongst us, because this is what's being said, they were in the mall, that telecommunications could very well be cut, or the frequency that they come in on would affect our telecommunications, in particular our mobile phones. I find that actually very believable, that if they were to come, if they were to make their presence felt, they would want to make their presence felt for us to see them with our naked eyes, rather than just filming everything through this. So you might attempt to film it, but you're not necessarily going to get a record of it because they will block the transmission of that. I do think that's one thing that I'm hearing Metatron in particular saying is very possible that will happen. So, because it's about seeing with your physical eyes rather than just a piece of footage. I realise I'm responding to a piece of footage, but please bear with me. So, number one, close down the airspace, power cuts to 61,000 homes, power cuts to the mall, huge police presence, 75 cars. Also, it appears that there is now retracted evidence. I'm not going to name the person who I was watching, but he came across as very credible, that he'd seen something he couldn't explain with his own eyes. And it unless he's a very good actor, which of course is very possible, it appeared credible. He then comes back onto TikTok quite quickly and says, no, I was just making it all up. And that second testimony didn't feel as credible. So I have a big question mark about that. The timing of all of this, and of course what this is all about, is the fact that people are reporting that there were 8 to 9 foot beings walking amongst them. It sounds as though people were describing greys, a form of star being. Ashtar never likes me to say the word alien, but star being, greys. People were talking about shape-shifting type energies, the fact that they were able to merge and morph and change shape and appear here, appear there. The fact that also there was a degree of invisibility at times, and the appearance of them gliding rather than actually walking. So let's just, again, think about these things. So even if this is fake, we know that we live in times of pre-programming, okay? We are being programmed via media, via films, via television, by songs, for things that may very well come into being and that are true at some point later down the line, when powers that were think that we might be able to embrace them, accept them, acknowledge them, or it's something that they've been trying to keep under wraps and don't want us to know, but eventually we will get there. But it's like pre-programming. Imagine if this is a pre-programming thing. We're being told that they are 8 to 9 foot, they are greys, that's the species as it were, they are shapeshifters, they have the power of invisibility, and they glide. If you take nothing else from this video, over and above what else I'm going to go on to say, can we just take a moment to stop and pause and think about that? That has been programmed into certain people's consciousness, whether it's fake, whether it's real, it puts that there, okay? So that's interesting. Is this a preview to something else? Now, the big thing that makes a lot of people raise their eyebrows and thinks, no, this is just false, this is just fake, this is just silly psyops type stuff, is the timing of it. And yes, the timing is deeply suspicious. It happens on the 1st of January. the first tranche of names from the E list, and I'm only going to say the E list, and I'm going to tell you why in a moment, and it's beyond algorithms. It's actually the power of his name, particularly when you put both of his names together. There is a spell being weaved. So that's really interesting information I'm being given by Metatron. But this whole event in Miami happened around the time that we were expecting the first drop of names. So many people are saying, well, it's just false. It's just trying to cover that up. But I don't know, because I understand why people are saying that, but then it is actually being covered up. It's just being dismissed as something that didn't actually happen. If it wasn't for other social media channels, particularly those championed by Generation Z, or Z, whatever it's called, I'm so old-fashioned. If it wasn't for the younger generation championing it, we wouldn't even know about it. Okay, so it's the collapse of mainstream media, which is saying one thing, but other social media are saying something else. So I'm just going to leave that with you. Yes, it could be, I'm not going to say those words because that gets flagged, but it could be a false event, or it could be, there could be truth in it. Right, so that's where we are at. Let me just go to a few things that I have written down here. Okay. I have to say, I'm going to have to show you a card. Those of you that follow me a lot, I know that you trust me, okay? I know you trust me. I know you know that I'm not some sort of magician that's just trying to pick cards out and create a story for views. I'm not about that. But I can't prove to you that I didn't fake what I'm about to do. You're going to have to trust me. So I will say on my children's life that this is what happened, okay? But I'm also going to pull cards from the deck as well. But unfortunately, off camera, and I really wish I'd had the camera rolling, I went to a deck. The deck that Metatron told me to get for this video is the Starman Tarot by David de Angelis and Esther de Angelis. Beautiful deck that somebody gave me. It's very much themed around David Bowie, and of course he had that beautiful song, didn't he, about being the alien, Starman, all of that. It's very much David Bowie, the whole galactic thing. So I thought, okay, yeah, Starman Tarot, yeah, we'll use that. That's probably going to work. Off camera, I shuffled the deck and I just said to myself, okay, were these things aliens? Were they aliens? With no expectation as to what card would come out. The card that came out is this one, and I hope my camera's going to focus okay to see it. It is the version in this particular deck of the Hermit. It's actually the Hermit card. But you will see, hopefully, if my camera is focusing, it's called the Alien. And it has on it grey, long, being, alien, star being type figure right there in the centre. Also with, well, you could... when I first looked at it, it looked like there were swords going through its chest, but actually the more I look at it, it looks as though there's light going through its chest. I'll put it up again for you to see in a moment, but I'm also just wanting to see what's on the card. I'm going to read you the description of what this card is about in the book, because it's going to blow your mind. And it's not what you think straight away. But if we look at the card, as I say, I'll put it up again in a moment, it has a book of wisdom beneath this being's foot, and it also has a candle, okay? So can you see that? The candle and the book. Now, in the book, I'm going to just read you a little bit of what it says. It says this. So it says, in the Starman Tarot, the Alien replaces the Hermit card, which traditionally invites the receiver to turn their attention inwards, to contemplation and inquiry, to retreat from life and to ask the big questions. All of us that understand the tarot know that that's what the Hermit means, but not in this deck. The Alien is different. He arrives from the void with ideas, wisdoms and technologies. a translucent presence glowing with the sacred geometries and the universal pattern of the flower of life. His body actually has the flower of life upon it. In culture, the figure of the alien has moved away from cults into the mainstream of popular culture. Now really listen to this bit. Their symbolism continually evolves, and often it's a repository for the fears and phobias of a segmented and disconnected population. It's easier to jack into the fantasy world of cyberculture rather than talk to our neighbours or families about anything of meaning. Overwhelmed with information and content, we aren't able to distinguish truth from falsehood. We can't verify the source, and we can't understand the context in which it arose. We feel confused, disempowered, and have a nagging sense of alienation. That word alienation, alienation. In a world where distance or remoteness enables and creates space for imaginary lives, snapshots of the good life, all glowing smiles, it can be easy to feel estranged, different, and not part of the gang. We simply don't belong. This alien, though, is here to lead you back home to yourself. The alien, the outsider, the rebel, the stranger, the one that you have feared yet also secretly desired, is here to remind you that you are perfect as you are, beneath the mask of cruel imperfection. It says the alien carries spectacular visions and wonders and must always seek a way home to the stars, the light from afar, being in this world but not of it, reminding you that you are always, no matter what, on a journey back home to the light. I find it really interesting that this card has come out, because you could just look at that and say, well, yeah, you asked, were they aliens? You've got the alien card. Of course, okay, the answer is yes. But it's much deeper than that, isn't it? Because actually what this is saying is that whether what supposedly was seen was real, whether what supposedly was seen was fake, whether what was supposedly seen wasn't even there and it's just a made-up thing on TikTok, doesn't actually matter. Because what has been created by this story is that these beings that they're saying looked very much like this, and they're programming into our consciousness, this deck would say, are actually trying to help us, leading us back to ourselves. All the people that feel alienated. Metatron show me all these people who just walk aimlessly around shopping malls, you know, looking for the next fix of consumerism to fill the void that they have within themselves. The trip out to the supermarket, you know, over and above getting food for the day. I see it around where I live. It's like a family trip out, and then the kids misbehave and all the rest of it. And it's not really what life's about, is it? So feeling alienated from life, feeling alienated from spirit, feeling cut off from source. Just think about this event, this story, this happening, as also being symbolically important, because these like drifter type energies walking amongst us that we're seeing as alien and different. I always say we are the aliens, that's an aspect of us, that we're drifting, we're listless, we don't know where we're going, we're being carried along. We feel invisible sometimes, we're not noticed, we're not acknowledged. Okay, so all of that. So it's a really interesting card, isn't it? And ultimately, what this book is saying is it's saying it's about knowing your worth, that you're perfect the way you are, to go deeper and to understand the universe. At the end of the day, whether it's false, whether it's real, what's important is it helps to open people's mind up a little bit to what could be. What could be. Now, a few other things that were given to me by Spirit with regards to this whole thing. I've already said about the telecommunications. Again, whether that's real, whether that's fake, I am being told that it's very possible that when and if, well, it will happen, it's just the timing, real aliens are visible amongst us. There's a real disclosure that's happening and we can see it and it's not fake or anything like that. Telecommunications may very well be cut. So it doesn't mean it has to be, but I feel that's possible. But a few other things that I was given. Now, again, the timing of this, just before the E-list drop, I'll come back to his name in a minute, actually. Let me just write that down before I forget. Because I don't live in America, okay, so I've never been to Miami. I'd quite like to come, actually, but never been there. So straight away I was thinking, okay, how far is that mall? Is that how you say it? We call them centres, shopping precincts. Probably should have said that at the start for European and people not in America. We don't call them malls, but anyway. How far is that mall from where J.E.'s home used to be in Palm Beach? Because I believe he had a home in Palm Beach. I believe it's been demolished. But again, just the mention of that house has been coming up over the last couple of days. All of everything that happened with that man is coming up for disclosure. How far? I believe it's an hour. I might be wrong, okay? It might be more than an hour, but even if it's a long, long way away, hours and hours and hours away, I'm being shown there is, for want of a better word, a ley line, or it could be a tunnel. There is a connection between where his home used to be, that's now been demolished in Palm Beach, and the mall, okay? Now, think about it this way. In the week that the collective starts to wake up a little bit more to what happened with this man and the list and who was on the plane and who wasn't on the plane and who might have visited the island and who didn't and all the rest of it. And some of it is fake and some of it is true. As I've said before, be very cautious and discerning with that list. We haven't really got to the really big names yet. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors, but hear me out. The week that it starts to hit the mainstream and mainstream newspapers are reporting on it, the portal that this man created, J.E., whether he's alive still, whether he's not, he created a portal of darkness. He was like the spider in the middle of the web that collected all of the data, all of the blackmail, all of the horrible things that happened, very evil, very dark things that happened. He was the spider in the middle of the web controlling it all. He was the puppet master. It's as though the mention of his name, the mention of everything that happened, I mean, it has to come up to be disclosed and revealed, but it's as though we're stirring the hornet's nest. We're stirring a web of darkness that has been hidden, and now it is being activated and it's coming up. And I believe that a portal of darkness stemming from his home in Palm Beach via whether it's a tunnel, a ley line, whatever it is, came into that place near the mall, near Miami, for whatever reason, on the 1st of January. It could have been that there were a particular people in the mall on that day who were quite dark. There might have been people living near there who are pretty dark. I've no idea. It could be that somebody in a distant land conjured something up. I know this is all sounding a bit bonkers, but it's what I'm being given. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So it's like a pot of darkness here, which is the home in Palm Beach. But even though it's been demolished, the energy of what happened there, what was planned there, what took place there, all the people that visited, all the people that came and went, the stain is still there. And it's as though there's leakage via this line, via this tunnel, whatever it is. And it's popped up, a bit like a volcano, in the mall. And it's brought, even if you don't believe that there were aliens walking around there, it's brought an element of chaos, of hysteria. even if the mainstream narrative is right and it was just teenagers brawling, they were brawling and they were triggered because of the darkness that was traveling. It's like a vein. It's like the darkness travels via these vein lines, and then it bursts, it ruptures like an artery, and you get a spontaneous outbreak of violence, of just a portal of darkness. That's what's basically happening. So I sense that. I definitely sense that. Now, I want to say something about his name, J.E. I've said before that I don't mention his name really because of algorithms, and YouTube will flag my account and my channel. I don't particularly want that. I've worked hard to be here since 2012. I want to maintain my channel. So there is that. But actually what Metatron said to me last night, well, actually it was helped by one of you. Thank you, Louise. Louise I believe you are in New Zealand. Yes, you are. You sent me a beautiful scarf and a necklace. Thank you very much for that. But you also sent me a letter and you said, would you think of doing videos on a few different subjects? And one of the subjects that Louise asked me to look at, and I am going to, she said, would you look at switch words? And I thought, switch words? I thought, what's that? I never heard of switch words. But there was something about the power of switch words, which, I mean, I receive all sorts of information every day and letters and emails, and half the time I don't have even time to respond. I'm so sorry. But there was something in this thing about switch words. It really intrigued me, even though I knew nothing about it. So I looked it up, and there is a book, and I'll do a whole video on this, but basically it's about the power of certain words to manifest something very powerful. If you think about something like abracadabra or open sesame, they're actually there in our popular culture because they do have power. Now, one of the most powerful two words out there in our world are the two words which are Jesus Christ. Okay, they carry huge power, quantities of love, just opening up to all that is good, all that is holy, all that is sacred. Absolutely, they are words of protection. But so too, I would say they are switch words, actually, putting it crudely, but they are. They're words that have great power. But equally, you can have other words that hold great darkness. And what I'm being told by Metatron today is the name, particularly when you then conjure up his face in your mind's eye, or you see it in a newspaper, they're a switch word as well, but they're switch words of darkness. So if you think about the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of times, his name has been mentioned this week, and that's going to carry on through 2024, all of the news channels, all of you and I talking about it. Can we try and not use the full name? You know, those of us in the know, we don't need to spell out his name. We know what his name is. Just use the initials JE, because that weakens it. Okay, that weakens it. So definitely I'm being told that that's also part of the explosions of darkness that we're seeing across our world at the moment. It's like I'm being shown now a dying, for want of a better word, it looks like a serpent. It's like a devil-type serpent. It's like a dragon. I don't like to say that because dragons can also be very positive, beautiful creatures. But this feels like a dark serpent stroke dragon type energy, and it's writhing around. It is in its last death throes. It's the old evil that's leaving our planet that's being exposed. But as it does so, you have to be careful that you don't get whipped by its tail. You have to be careful that you don't come into contact with the fire from its mouth. As others get hold of this thing and bring it to its knees and eradicate it, which is what will happen. By the time we get to New Earth, it will be gone. But in the meantime, what we have to do is be protecting ourselves. Now, one of the phrases that I heard this week and was, let me just make sure I've got the actual words right. Okay, yeah. There's 6 words, okay? These are the 6 words. Stay in the light of God. Stay in the light of God. Stay in the light of God. I feel as though I needed to repeat that 3 times. If you can keep that as a mantra whilst this darkness comes up, has to all be revealed, you're going to be okay. Carry on with your protection. Carry on with wearing your armour of God. Carry on with invoking Jesus. Carry on with invoking Archangel Michael. All of your protection things that you already do. But I'm hearing this as a mantra: stay in the light of God. Because, again, let's go back to Miami. Whatever happened there, what it did create was massive fear, okay? So if you see the footage on TikTok or the bits that have been released, what you can basically see is people fleeing in terror from a scene, okay? There's people running in fear from something. So fear, as we know, is corrosive. Fear is toxic. The antidote to that is to stay in the light of God. If you were in a situation, as an example, where you are greeted by an alien, you're greeted by something you don't understand, you're greeted by something malevolent, then just remember that mantra, I stay in the light of God, and you will be fine, because that being, which is malevolent, wouldn't even see you. It would literally, because it would have its attention, it goes to where fear is. So if there's a crowd of people, I'm not necessarily talking about Miami here, I'm just talking generally in the future. If we were visited by beings that were, because star beings, aliens, there's good and there's bad, just as much as there are good and bad human beings. There is good and there's bad in all races. So absolutely, there are entities out there, there are galactic entities out there that would be detrimental to our health, that are toxic, that are dark, etc., lurking around the lower astral planes, for example. But again, if you're ever to come into contact with them, whether it be literally like a sort of Close Encounters of the Third Kind type scenario, or whether it's just, as I've sometimes described in my videos, where I feel as though I've been visited by a presence it's usually in the night, it's the dark of the night, and I felt like something's literally on my chest, and it's like, I know it's not of the light, and I throw it off with the power of Jesus Christ, to be perfectly honest, and my own inner strength, etc. I've talked about this. But again, if you ever have situations like that, however they appear, micro, macro, stay in the light of God. If you stay in the light of God, no harm can befall you, okay? It really is the truth. So please also write that down now, take that into your heart and remember it. This also applies to things that we see on the news. Now, to be honest, when I came across this topic that I'm discussing today, there was no part of me that went into fear. I have to be honest. I was more just curious. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I want to look at that. I want to read about that. I want to ask spirit about that. That's interesting. I wasn't at all in fear. I was in curiosity. But I am aware that other people maybe might not have had that same response. Other people might have been like, whoa, what the hell? And it might have reconfirmed to them that this is a dark planet, that this is a planet of fear, that this is another thing to now worry about. If I go out to the shopping mall, am I going to be seeing something like this? That didn't enter my consciousness. But for others, it might. So remember these tools: Armour of God, link the video below, I always do, that I've done on that. Archangel Michael, bringing in the energy of Jesus, the benevolent dragons as well, the dragons who are here to clear the way. In terms of my sprays, I am going to show a few sprays. I'm also going to bring Ashtar through in a moment, but absolutely the violet dragon. So the violet dragon, and actually this dragon, it says danger defense spray, master clearance, danger defense spray. And when we created this particular spray, I always saw it as going before us, but also sweeping up anything behind us and to the side and above and below. If you're going on a trip, if you're just going out your front door, and it's helping to clear the way, it's purifying the way. So let's do this now also for this video. You can do it for work. So your work gets out there unhindered. Your trip is unhindered by anything that is trying to block the path, create a problem. We also do have an Archangel Michael spray, which is linked into safety. Many of you I know work with Archangel Michael and his blue ray. That also will help to keep you safe. And of course, the power of Metatron and spiritual protection. There's a spiritual protection spray that we sell. Got lots of tools in what I call my medicine bag, things that I've been asked to create by spirit that can help. So what we're going to do now is we're going to call in Ashtar, but I also want to tell you something that Ashtar's already told me off camera. And I'm going to pull some cards. Have I got everything here? Oh, sorry, there's one other thing I've got to say on mals before we go on. This is just general, really. So the energy of a mal, the energy of a shopping centre, the energy of anywhere where there's a group of people, but particularly mal is what I concentrated on. Metatron saying this. He's saying it always was like walking through a soup. Those of you who are like me, I remember even as a child going into Marks and Spencer's was always my place where I had a funny turn. My mum always used to call it having a funny turn, and as I've grown up, I've realised actually it wasn't having a funny turn. It was more the fact that it was overstimulation. It was the lights, the noise, the people, the smells, just everything too much in your face. If you're an empath, if you're very sensitive, it can be overwhelming to just go out there into a crowded place, a shop. But mals in particular, if you think about a mal or a precinct, it's got different types of shops which attract different types of people. So it's like walking into an energetic soup. But the thing that's happening now, and this is since sort of the pandemic and lockdowns, everything's changed with regards to retail. There's less shops. It's brought in a different energy to these mals. And in particular, there is an energy within them of desperation, trying to keep going in terms of the actual shop itself, but also more crime being attracted to these centres, lots of video footage of people, committing crime, shoplifting, all the rest of it, shoplifting sprees, groups of people being attracted. So desperation, crime, greed also, and this overstimulation. They've become definitely places where you've really got to protect your energy. So it doesn't surprise me in a way that something happened at a mal. And also, without wanting to bring another big subject into this, but sometimes, God forbid, we don't want this to happen again, but you get the shootings, don't you, in mals, in shopping precincts. It's just like this. They seem to be portals, and they can, of course, be fun, hopefully, and places that you enjoy going to. But you've just got to watch your energy in them, and you have to be very sensitive to the fact that if the energy changes, if you don't feel right, if it doesn't feel, put it this way, if you wake up one day and you're going to go shopping, it's like, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And for whatever reason, your higher self is saying to you, not today, don't go today, don't go today. We have to be discerning. We have to be honing what our higher self and our intuition and our senses are telling us. In the same way, if you're sitting in a cafe or you're in a shop and all of a sudden you're okay and then it just suddenly doesn't feel right, trust it. I'm not saying that you're necessarily going to have an alien pop up from behind the checkout counter. I'm just saying that it's energies that we're talking about in this video. It's energies, whether they are manipulated or whether they're real, it's all energies. Because one of the things Ashtar said to me when I was asking about, were they aliens? He said to me, they were energy. They were energy. And I'm like, what do you mean they were energy? And then I understood they were energy because everything is energy. And he showed me the example of holograms, which we know can be created already. There are whole videos on things such as Project Bluebeam, which is a supposed theory that the next scare tactic that will come into our world will be a fake alien invasion, and it won't be real. It will be holograms in the sky. Whatever you believe in that, that's out there that some people believe that. But he's saying, even if it's a hologram, everything is energy. And he gave me this example. I don't know if you've ever been to one of these new concerts where they use holograms on the stage and you actually go and see Whitney Houston. But it isn't Whitney Houston. It's a hologram of Whitney Houston. And Or ABBA. I want to go and see the ABBA thing, ABBA Voyage up in London. I really want to do that this year, but it's not actually them on stage. It's sophisticated technology, which I don't even understand how it works. But we accept it in that arena. It's like, well, yeah, I'm going to see Whitney Houston. I'm going to see ABBA Voyage. We know it's not really them, but it sort of is them. Yeah, it sort of is them because it's actually, the hologram itself has energy. And the hologram is what he's saying is it's like a sponge. It's a two-way portal, he's saying. So the hologram is something, whether it be a hologram in terms of a spaceship in the sky in the future, whether it's Whitney standing on stage looking like Whitney, Ashtar's saying it's a portal that works both ways. Number one, it works in terms of the creator of that hologram puts into it different codes, okay? So hopefully if you go to see something like ABBA Voyage, all of the people I know that have gone to see it have come out and say, oh my God, I just feel so happy. I feel so on top of the world. I know David Walliams was quoted as saying, if I could go and see it every day for the rest of my life, I would do. I would imagine that it's got very good codes in it. In fact, that was another thing Louise asked me to read on, the energy of ABBA, and I might do that because absolutely, ABBA is a name for God as well, isn't it? ABBA? I'm pretty sure I'm right in that. The whole energy of ABBA as a word, actually, ABBA as a switch word is what I'm hearing. It's a very powerful word. It's a great word. They're a great band. They're good people. The energy of them is heart-centered. That's what went into their music. Anyway, let me just try and keep on track, because what I'm really trying to say is that the hologram is a portal. So the creator of the hologram puts what they want into it. So in the case of the hologram of ABBA on stage, it's good stuff, okay? And then also the audience who are sitting there, they put stuff into the portal as well. Their hopes, their dreams, their memories, their wishes, their escapism, their fantasy, all of that, okay? So it becomes a really beautiful portal that really lights up the world in a beautiful way. But it can work in reverse. So imagine that the powers that were put a hologram into the sky or created a hologram at Miamialiens the other day of aliens walking amongst us or the thing in the sky. But what they seeded into that hologram was actually dark and fear-based. Okay, it's dark, it's fear-based, it's lowering the energy. It's not heightening the energy. You're not coming out thinking, oh God, that was great. You're coming out thinking, oh my God, I feel awful. Okay, so they've seeded that into the hologram, but then also we have a responsibility. What do we then put into it? Are we putting more fear into it as well? Are we putting more horror, more shock, more, oh my God, the world is about to end type energy? Can you see how then that mushrooms, that becomes something so much bigger than even they intended it to be, and it works in a negative light, in a negative light, right? So that's what Ashtar was saying about holograms, basically. Let's use the spray though. I have got a Ashtar spray. Some of you might have this version of it, which has got the painting that was done by a friend of mine called Catherine Pirot. I've got the original painting upstairs, but it's channeled galactic artwork. But equally, we've also got the new spray, which has just got my logo on it, and you can see the colour a little bit more effectively. But Ashtar, this spray, it works on the platinum ray. So Ashtar comes in on the platinum ray. Let's just welcome him in. All right. I feel his presence very much around at the moment. How many times do I mention the skies when I talk about Ashtar and the quality of the light behind the clouds, the platinum light behind the clouds, the stunning light that comes from the sky. So he's showing me the ships that are in the sky, that are not imaginary, that are real, hiding behind the clouds. He's saying, who do you think makes the clouds? And he's talking here about the fact that they can not only be wherever they need to be around the world, to be observing, to be observing in particular, he's saying, but they can create the camouflage as well. So that's quite interesting, because sometimes when we see what we feel is a ship behind a cloud, it's almost like, oh, if only the cloud wasn't there. But he's saying, no, we create the cloud as well. He's saying two can play at that game, because it's a reference to the fact that powers that were can also create clouds for more nefarious reasons, to seed rain or whatever. But he's saying we can create clouds for different reasons. So there's that. So let me ask him about this incident in Miami. Okay, let's have a look. Because another thing, Ashtar, just want to chat to him really. Another thing, Ashtar, is going back to the JE stuff and the fact that I feel that this Mal is on a line, a leakage line, I want to call it, rather than a ley line, a leakage line. Another explanation is that these are demonic entities that are being conjured up. Yeah, do you understand what I'm saying? It's like a demonic type energy. Now, I'm not actually particularly tapping into that. I'm just putting it there. That is another explanation as well. Now, two cards have come out. One came out. The other one is on the bottom of the deck. I think this is context. These are context cards. It's the Six of Cups and the Empress. So the Six of Cups is the card of childhood, children. The Empress is the card of the mother. Okay. So he's giving us that. JE was very known to collect artwork, and Ashtar is telling me that these pieces of art that traded money for a lot of money, basically, were it's like a money laundering type exercise. So in exchange for, I can't go too far in this video, guys, okay, for protection of my channel, but it's linked into the sale of children, basically. Clarification on the Empress, please. The Four of Pentacles. Wow, look at that card. Sorry, I know I'm saying, wow, look at that card, and I'm not showing it to you. I just need to understand it before I show it to you. Okay, if we look at this card, look at that. Can you see what I see? Can you see the Hollywood, the Oscars? Can you see the Hollywood Oscars? And this is the Four of Pentacles, which is usually a card of security and stability. This is Hollywood, up to its neck, up to its neck. How far is Hollywood from Miami? Sorry, I know I should know this stuff, but, well, it's certainly nearer than where I am at the moment. I'm being shown a triangle in my mind's eye, a triangle of, it's like a power triangle, but it's a geographical triangle. So I've got Miami, wherever Hollywood is. I'm not sure where the third place is, but this is the Oscars. This is the Oscars. This is a masked figure who's handing out the accolades and the prizes. The Oscars are a portal of darkness, is what I'm hearing. Ricky Gervais was right. Ricky Gervais was right. Ten of Swords is on the bottom of the deck, though, which is nice to see. Sorry. Ten of Swords, which is a card of ending. This has all got to come up. Okay. What has this got to do with the Miami situation, though? just going to go back and ask the question again. We've got the High Priestess that's just come out now. Something that's hidden. The High Priestess is also esoteric wisdom, stroke knowledge, but in the wrong hands can be dangerous. They're beautiful cards. I haven't used this deck for a while. It seems to be a deck that I only read with it for very specific reasons, and this is a great topic to be using it for. Okay, we've got the two female cards out before we go any further. We've got the High Priestess and the Empress. I'm going to ask why we've got the two archetypal feminine cards in the deck before I say anything. I'm just going to let this read go where it wants to go, whether it's linked into what we were talking about or not, because it feels like we're moving into a different energy here in terms of Hollywood. We've got the Nine of Pentacles. One more, please. What are you trying to say to me? What is the message, overall message of these cards that I've got out here, please? Overall message of these cards that I've got out here, please. What are these cards trying to say? One more card. The Queen of Swords. We've got the Star as well on the bottom of the deck. And we've got Justice. And we've got the Lovers. Okay, so not yet, but underneath we have the Star card and we have the card of Justice. But there's a lot of feminine energy out here on the table. I've got the High Priestess, I've got the Empress, I've got the Queen of Swords. The Nine of Pentacles also has a woman on it. The Star has a woman on it. Justice has a woman on it. And this isn't a deck that's just got depictions of women. So, as I have said in previous videos, this has got the divine feminine all over it. It's as though it's the divine feminine coming to restore or create, maybe it's never actually been on this planet, an age of innocence, the new earth type energy. Anything else here? Let's just go back to Ashtar. Okay, so Miami, which was the reason we were doing this video. Hotbed of excess. Is Miami where the swamps are, or is that Florida? Swampy mess. I'm sure it's beautiful as well. I would like to visit it, but I'm talking energy. I don't know. I'm just seeing this big ship in the sky. I almost want to say across Miami, which I assume is quite a big place. Watching, waiting, observing, allowing it all to play out. Okay. Right. Well, I think I'm going to leave this video with a card from the Christ deck. Yeah, we're nearly up to an hour. Hope you found it interesting. Let's pull a card from the Christ deck. We have this card. It says, enlightenment, continue to grow. And in relation to everything we've been discussing in this video, I feel it is to do with everything that crosses our path can be used for us to grow, learn from, discern, Remember that first card that came out? The alien, card number 9, the hermit. Okay. And remember what it was talking about? The fact that we feel alienated. If we feel alienated, are we going to manifest faceless, formless, driftless beings in our midst that mirror a part of ourself that feel like that feel as though we are aliens to this planet, we don't belong here? There's also something coming up here from Metatron, which is linked into the fact that as the ascension process carries on, some people are finding it very difficult, I realise. I'm finding it difficult. Everybody who's got a heart-centered consciousness is finding it difficult with all the things that are coming up and that will be revealed. And there can be a degree of just wanting to escape it. But we mustn't. We came here to be of the world, but not in the world. Is that the right way of putting it? To be in the world, but not of the world, rather. To be in the world, but not of the world. To plant our starseed roots here. To not recognise anything as actually alien. That everything is a part of us. Everything is a part of us. So, beneath all the hysteria, and this is just one story of which there will be hysteria, but there's going to be plenty more in 2024. Beneath the hysteria of, oh my God, is it? Is it not? Could it be? Could it not be? Can we try to go a little bit deeper and see whatever is occurring, whatever we think we're seeing with our eyes, whatever's being fed to us, whether it's real, whether it's not, as actually fragments of ourself, just different aspects and reflections from the same mirror. Reflections from the same mirror. And that's quite hard to look at sometimes, that I do feel that lost. I do feel that alienated. Yeah? Imagine if we could conjure up instead. And remember, the powers that were are just a part of us as well. So if they're conjuring up stuff and we are giving them power, then they're going to carry on creating the dark holograms. But if we can start to turn it around and manifest in a higher, more powerful, more loving alien that we wish to see. I think human consciousness has got to smash through a glass ceiling, actually. This is what I'm feeling. There's a glass ceiling with regards to disclosure. And it's not what you think. It's not actually in terms of we want to see or we don't want to see. It's what do you think actually you are going to see? Because there's an energy out there which is that if we saw anything, it's going to be difficult. They're going to be horrible. They're going to be against us. Imagine if we started to see them just as another aspect of ourself, that they're just our fellow starseed brothers and sisters, and they wish to make contact. Can you feel the difference in the vibration of that? But the collective at the moment is fearful. They're fearful of disclosure because they think that they're going to be, dangerous. And what's interesting about the whole Miami situation is that, again, whether you think it's real, whether you think it's fake, they weren't dangerous. They were just drifting. They were just there. Maybe they were just observing. Interesting, hey? Anyway, thank you for listening. Interesting subject for today, Saturday morning. Have a good weekend. Take great care. And I will be back next week. I'll put the links to the sprays below. And also the TikTok video, if I can find it. I've never tried to link a TikTok before. So that'll be a new one for me. Lots of love. Bye-bye for now. Bye.